Time now for my Royal Masterminds, Lady Colin Campbell and Phil Dampier. Now, Prince Harry has been all too happy to glamorise his use of serious drugs in tell-all TV interviews and his self-pitying memoir, Spare. But it seems those rules have changed today, as he claimed that stories printed about his drug use were not in the public interest.
6th article. 2 articles on front page and page 11. Sunday Mirror, 13th January 2002, show you sharing a joint with your friends and your father's response.
Yes.
Your complaint, allegations that you smoked cannabis and your father's reaction, that he gave you a stern warning, that he understood you wanted to enjoy your teenage years. Do you say that was obtained by phone hacking?
Unlawful information gathering. I'm not sure how the two are separated.
The palace accepted that this wasn't an invasion of privacy, but a matter of public interest.
I've never smoked a joint in that pub or in my father's house. There's a difference between the public interest and what interests the public.
So, Lady C, isn't this Harry once again displaying his double standards when it comes to the media?
Harry, my dear, is the archetype of hypocrisy. I mean, the whole thing's ludicrous. You know, as an heir to the throne, the newspapers had an absolute duty to report upon the fact that somebody who was at the time, if I'm not mistaken, number 3 or number 4, I think it was number 3, in line to the throne, and therefore had a credible chance in case of tragedy of becoming king, was a pothead. And of course, it's an absolute duty of the newspapers to report upon this. You know, Harry is totally delusional. Unfortunately, like many young people who start smoking when they are very young, you know, the brain doesn't stop developing till you're 25, so it affects the connections in the brain, and it also it actually arrests your emotional development. So we are actually dealing with a 13-year-old pothead who doesn't seem to understand that it was the duty of the newspapers to report upon something that was in the public interest. Do we want a druggy king? The answer is no.
And now, of course, he denies that he has any problems with drugs, just to put it out there, although, of course, he has recounted lots of illegal drug use in his memoir as well. Look, false rumours have swirled over the years, claiming that Harry's biological father was, in fact, Major James Hewitt, a story that the runaway royal claims he himself thought might be true up until the age of 30. Watch this.
Numerous newspapers reported a rumour that my biological father was James Hewitt, a man my mother had a relationship with after I was born. At the time of this article and others similar to it, I wasn't actually aware that my mother hadn't met Major Hewitt until after I was born. This timeline is something I only learned of in around 2014, although I now understand this was common knowledge amongst the defendant's journalists. At the time when I was 18 years old and had lost my mother 6 years earlier, stories such as this felt very damaging and very real to me. They were hurtful, mean and cruel.
I mean, Phil, are we honestly meant to buy these claims that he thought James Hewitt might be his father right up until 2014?
I have to say, I love your actor there. I mean, he's absolutely brilliant. He's better than the court artist's picture of...
Oh, yeah, he is, actually. They were terrible, weren't they?
Wayne Rooney and Robin Cook, I thought, the court artist, but it's been a dreadful day for him. But look, listen, if I had £1 for every person who's sidled up to me over the last 30 or 40 years and said to me, you know who Prince Harry's father is? It's James Hewitt. I mean, this was an apocryphal story that went round and round, rather like a story about Prince Andrew, that he was gay and had AIDS, which was also rubbish, but that went round the houses for many, many years. Listen, the idea that he couldn't find out between the ages of, he was only 12 when his mother died, but the idea that he couldn't find out between the ages of, say, 20 and 30 when he was an adult, that Hewitt wasn't his father, and it was blindingly obvious he wasn't because they'd never met, is absolutely ridiculous. I think he's just playing it for sympathy and just saying it's another thing which has upset him. But, the idea that he couldn't ask his father or ask Tiggy or ask his brother or make some inquiries or even ask Hewitt is just clearly ridiculous.
Now, there were lots of bizarre moments today. Of course, Harry's discipline or lack of has been revealed in his own witness statement. He recounted how his father punished him after those pictures of the 20-year-old prince dressed in a Nazi fancy dress costume shocked the nation. This was in 2005.
I knew I had been stupid, and I was deeply apologetic and regretful. I was suspicious of everyone around me, wondering who was prepared to sell photographs or details of my life. I was always careful about who I trusted. The article further reported on relationships with my father, stating I was sulking like a teenager after he grounded me, that I was being forced to do a dull desk job and help out on the farm near Highgrove by cleaning out the pigsties and helping with the cattle. It also includes a quote from a royal source that said I'd been told to knuckle down. There were obviously consequences within my family, which I fully accepted. But I know my father was particularly unhappy with the poor judgment I had shown. However, as is reported in the article, the palace had already issued an apology on my behalf, and details of how my father thought fit to punish me for my actions were not part of that.
Oh, Lady C, poor baby Harry. He had to do one day's work on a farm. I mean, honestly, he's not in the real world, is he, Lady C?
Well, would you be if you put enough stuff up your nose and done enough? And those are just two of the things he done.
Yes, which he stresses, Lady C, which he stresses he doesn't do when it's illegal. Just
well,
saying.
except, of course, he has admitted he did it in his autobiography. Therefore, he can't split hairs now because he admits he did it at a time and in places it was illegal. So, he can't have it both ways. And Harry is very pathetic. And what comes across in his evidence is how entitled and arrogant and, totally disrespectful of everybody and everything except what he wishes. He's even in court laying down the law. And in court, he doesn't seem to understand his place. He doesn't understand that as a claimant, he has to prove that they did something. When he's questioned by Andrew Green about certain things, he doesn't give a proper answer. He says, ask the journalists. I mean, that's the height of arrogance. That's impertinence. It's not the place of the defendant to prove your case when you are the claimant. It's up to you to prove it. He's a bullet dodger. He is so irresponsible. And I mean, what comes across is how totally delusional he is. But delusional and arrogant. And may I also say, I have it on very reliable authority that his father and his brother are absolutely dead against the path he's taking. And they have utmost respect for a free press in a democratic constitutional monarchy. And they are dead against what he is about. And I say good for them.
Good indeed. Well, look, we're going to break you up for one night. Phil Dampier are going to be back with us on Thursday. But a programming note, because we've obviously got day 2 of Harry's evidence tomorrow, and Lady Colin Campbell is going to be teaming up with Meghan's sister, Samantha Markle, tomorrow night. So I cannot wait for that. And Phil, we'll see you on Thursday.